we got a fly-by-night guy, he's just gonna walk away from it, just, I can't build this house, I'm done, you know? Or try to pass, or, you know, renege on the contract and just try to pass something along to you or whatever, but, so, but this guy, the sales agent calls him every week or other week to tell him what the new price is. Not his new price, but just what they're, and it's just,
So there's going to be, and, I mean, you talk about a balloon and a pop. I think there's going to be more like an explosion.
but even existing real estate, we looked at a house in Bogey Estates. My wife would like a pool. I'm not against it. I've got younger kids, and she just thinks that they'll, you know, have all their friends come over, and she grew up with a pool, so I'll go along. Well, only to a certain point, you know, meaning, we looked at Bogey Estates, nice house, brand new pool, within a year, brand new outside living. I mean, really did a nice job, redid the house. $565 is what they asked, which again, I thought that was the problem. It was extremely reasonable, I thought. So for $650, I'm like, I just can't. We did put a cash offer in on one house, $380. I was gonna have to put $50 in it, not have to. Before I got in, I wanted hardwoods in the whole first floor. There were certain things that, and again, it's okay. I was resigned it. Again, it went for about 43 over. And again, I can do one or the other. I mean, meaning I'll buy it here and put the money in, but I can't give you a premium and put money in and just, you know.
You're upside down. It'll be so upside down. Yeah, I've been writing contracts for a family member in the tubes.
Oh, that's hotter than a pot of rice, yeah.
People are camping out to see.
But again, escalation clauses, paying over. I mean,
We put all that in. We weren't able to
I
get
know.
anything.
I get it.
50 over on a $220,000. 50 over.
But again, luckily now rates are low enough, you're probably not gonna refinance. But I mean, last time, if you were in it too high, and you were in it, let's say back then 6, and everybody was starting to get 4s or whatever, well, your place isn't gonna appraise out. You put 20% down all that, but you're underwater. And if you rode the whole thing out, you're perfectly fine today. But if you threw your hands up or whatever, and, well,
I don't know what's going to happen to some of these buyers. It's kind of
but again, I just question, well, first, I think a lot of average Americans want what they want now. I mean, but if you don't have to buy right now, don't,
We
honestly.
ended up buying a new house in Wright City. That's the only thing that we could get under contract.
Well,
Did not fight over.
I would love your tax bill is all I can say. When you get out of St. Charles County, it just falls off a cliff. I even talked to my wife about, and we haven't acted on it, but if we could find a decent place to rent, I'd like to lock in my profit, and if we wait 12 to 18 months, just to see, it'll turn. It's gonna, or at least it'll soften some. But again, that theory sounds great. Whether we end up doing that or not, I really don't know. But
I think we're headed for some sort of
I think it's gonna take until this money dries up, when the stimulus really kind of goes away and you really see where people are really at. So nobody should be in trouble right now. And there's more money coming for some people. And, well, Lewis Boats has 2 or 3 boats in stock, 2 or 3. That's not a good sign when boats are hotter than, you know, and RVs and, I mean.
Yeah, we're getting ready to sell our boats. And Lewis wrapped it, so we're going to go over there and see if we can start an auction.
It'll go. It's just like houses. It'll go. So I've got 4 o'clock. If we can go ahead and get started, please. Call the meeting to order with the roll call.
Okay. Cindy Fox Griffey.
Here.
Debbie Haley.
Here.
Caleb Hunter.
Here.
Matt Johannesman.
Here.
Jeanette Kochner.
Here.
Scott Kochmeyer.
Here.
Dan Kuntz.
Here.
Rick Masterson.
Here.
Brian Punman.
Here.
Dick Ruffcar.
Here.
Robert Schmidt.
Here.
James Tagnoni. He's on the phone.
No, thank you. I believe the minutes were sent out for the April 21st meeting. We accept a motion. Okay. Brian made a motion. Need a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Any corrections or amendments? All's in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. At this time, we would open public comment.
And Mr. Dienoff is on the phone and should be able to speak.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Thank you very much, members of the Red Board. My name is Ina. I'm a public advocate. And I just want to go through a few issues. One with the current project and the second one with some of the presentations this afternoon. The first one I'd like to bring up to the Road Board is Missouri Highway N and East Road Construction Realignment Project. I'm not sure the scope of that project is actually being followed. The contractor has broken up the pavement, but has left the pavement there broken up and has basically kept the job. There's questions about workmanship. There's been some pieces of new asphalt that are already popping up. It's dangerous as the subcontractor has left it, called the contractor. It's down to very narrow lanes and bad striking methods have been used. Someone should be very concerned from the county and from ODOT. We should be embarrassed by the conduct and the lack of work quality by the contractor. And I would ask members of the road board to ask some questions and look into this issue. The next issue is the city of Weldon. We'll make a presentation this afternoon. I am in favor of correcting and making the safety improvements to Weldon Spring Road curve. This should be a joint project, not only the city of Weldon, but also the city of Darden Prairie, and also the unincorporated county department of highways. This really has been neglected and really needs to be fixed because of the influx of residential developments. Summer road improvements should be a joint project of the city of Weldon, the city of Lake St. Louis, and again, unincorporated St. Charles County Highways Department. This is very much needed. There are numerous problems concerning public safety, traffic concerns. The schools are all on the roadway with backups during the morning and the afternoon for pickups, and there are a lot of safety concerns. Crestview Drive extension for the city of Weldon, I would ask that the road board not fund this. It should be a city-funded project. It's a very unused, limited road currently, and I don't really think it's going to be opening up development, and there's really no return on investment. The Southern Extension project for downtown O'Fallon, I asked if the road board not fund this project. This should be done solely as a developer improvement because they're going to make profits. The developer needs to have much more skin in the game and not have the handout for government to pay for their capital improvements. Those are my concerns and my public testimony, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Any additional public comment at this time? If not, the public comment section will be closed. So now we'll go ahead to the 2022-2024 TIP applications, and we will start with the city of O'Fallon.
Good morning, all. I'm sorry, good morning, good afternoon, all. It's been a long day. Let's see. Can everybody see that?
Try one more time. Should scroll forward.
Ruh-roh.
Wait a minute. Ashley's working on it.
I sent in the PDF version just in case this happened.
Oh, man. There we go.
Okay, so 2022 through 2024 TIP applications. Can we minimize that? Oh, as soon as you're done sharing.
She's getting it.
Yep. Okay. All right, so the City of O'Fallon is submitting 5 projects for consideration this year, and I'll go through these in order. The first one, first one is Weldon Spring Road improvements. This would be considered sort of a proto phase 1. Second one would be Highway K and Highway N intersection improvements Third is the Summers Road widening project. The fourth is the Crestview Drive extension, which is asking only for design and right-of-way funds at this point. And last is the Sondern Road extension. So here are these locations within the city of O'Fallon. We have a pretty good spread on these. And with that, I'll get into the projects themselves. So Weldon Spring Road, this is basically going to be doing some improvements to Weldon Spring Road, starting at Technology and ending just north of Valley Brook Drive, which is north of the intersection with Crusher Drive. Just as an aside, we have applied for and have received preliminary approval for CMAQ funds for this project as well. But essentially, there's a high-density residential development that's going to be occurring on the corner of this particular roadway. We anticipate that further development will take place shortly thereafter once this comes in, and that's going to increase the traffic loads on this roadway. The existing roadway is in kind of a deteriorated condition, and the existing sidewalk is not in compliance with some ADA standards. It's also just kind of stops in the middle of nowhere. So what we'd like to do is basically install a new 3-lane, 39-foot wide concrete pavement cross-section and adjusted profile for this stretch of roadway. Install a new roundabout at the intersection of Crusher and Weldon Spring Road, and then make some improvements to the pedestrian system, extend those sidewalks, and basically make a complete system so that residents in the area can then access some of the commercial spaces there along Highway K near Highway 40. And last would be to install high-visibility crosswalks where applicable. So here is a sort of concept plan for this. So again, we have the new roundabout at Crusher and Weldon Spring, which should hopefully improve some traffic flow in that area. You can see the purple lines and red lines are where the new development would be occurring. And then in addition, we want to, again, improve Weldon Spring Road, basically starting from Technology and then going up through through Valley Brook Drive. So
How high is the density there?
it's several apartment buildings. I don't recall exactly how many new residents it would be, but it's high-density residential. It's not single-family developments. Again, here is just another concept plan for the developer. Here are some pictures of the roadway, so you can see it kind of transitions from concrete to asphalt, and it's kind of broken up in places. The sidewalk just kind of stops, just kind of a disjointed little intersection, and right now it's stop controlled. And again, as more and more traffic gets placed on that roadway, we can see where that congestion is only going to get worse and worse. So in terms of funding, we are looking at around $2.66 million for this. There is, again, we have CMAQ funds that were going to be appropriated for this project as well. We have preliminary approval for that. And basically that accounts for 39.19%. CMAQ, there were some limitations on the entire project of what could and couldn't be funded. We got the maximum amount of this project funded as possible with CMAQ. We are asking that we would, between the county and city, basically make up the difference of those funds. But there's a summary of that. The second project is the Highway K and Highway N intersection improvements project. So we have applied for MoDOT cost share funds on this. I've submitted an application. I think the next cost share meeting is in July, maybe? I think that's right. So got a little bit to go, but we have applied for additional funds for this as well. This project would be centered around, obviously, the intersection of Highway N and Highway K. If anybody has driven through that area, it is a nightmare on most days. It is actually, we completed a citywide traffic study back in 2018, and this, along with the Highway K 364 intersection, was basically the two lowest performing intersections in the city in terms of level of service. High level of delay in the morning and in the afternoon. Traffic backs up pretty substantially. So what we would, in speaking with MoDOT, because obviously Highway K, Highway N, and 364 are on the MoDOT system, and speaking with them, what we kind of came up with as a sort of coordinated effort would be to add dual left turn lanes for both Highway N approaches onto Highway K, and then also add some ADA improvements where applicable. And here is kind of a concept plan for this. The idea behind this is that between the 364 interchange and the Highway N interchange, obviously there's a lot of through movement on both of those, straight through on both of those. There isn't a ton that we can do to the 364 interchange. However, the Highway N interchange is starting to see more and more traffic, especially coming westbound and turning. And right now there's only single dedicated left turn lanes. So the idea here is that by adding dual left turn lanes on both approaches, you can get more cars in the turning movement while keeping the turning movement timing the same, and then potentially expanding the straight-through movement to help move more traffic in the straight-through movement, which is currently the issue. So, like I said, kind of in a joint effort, that's one of the concepts that we came up with, and we're pursuing that as a project. So, again, here you can see some photos of it. Again, AM, PM, peak hours, it's an absolute nightmare to get through there. So, it is a $1.3 million project. We have applied for 50% cost share funds through MoDOT, and then we are looking for an 80-20 split of the remaining 50%, or a 40-10 split between the county and city to do this project. Third project is the Summers Road widening. So this is Summers Road between Highway N and Highway DD. And what we have is Summers Road is essentially a 3-lane road starting at Highway N and coming down to Discovery Ridge Elementary School. At that point, it necks down to 2 lanes and then goes down, and actually the City of O'Fallon just completed a project to install a signalized intersection at the Summers Road and Highway DD intersection. As part of that, we widened it out to 3 lanes because there's a dedicated left turn lane. However, there's going to be this little portion of about 400 feet where it's going to be 2 lanes. So it's going to go 3 lanes down to 2 lanes for about 400 feet and then widen back out to 3 lanes. We also have a development that's going to be coming in on the northwest corner there, the Summerline development. They're going to be making improvements as part of it, but basically, as a result of where their improvements lie, there's still a 400 feet gap. So what this project would seek to do would be to widen that remaining portion of Summers Road out to 3 lanes, so it's 3 lanes the entire way from Highway N down to Highway DD. Along with that, there are some sidewalks that kind of stop and start along that route that need to be filled in, so that, again, there's 3 schools within half mile of each other. So it's very important to get that pedestrian facility completed. That way, all of those homes and all those residents in that area can use those, kids can walk to school, et cetera, et cetera. We'd like to add some curb and gutter in some spots, usually sometimes on the drainage, it just rolls right off the road into kind of an open ditch. And then eventually what we'd like to do is resurface the entire roadway. So that's what we're asking for here. Here is kind of a shot-by-shot idea of what's going on here. So, and this is not the complete project, but just kind of gives you a snapshot. So we'd like to resurface the roadway, add some sidewalk in some places, widen the road for that 400 feet stretch so it doesn't kind of neck down and go back out to 3 lanes. And basically just make some general improvements to the area. So this, we estimate, is a $1.7 million project, and we are looking for an 80-20 split between the county and the city to do this project.
On that one,
Yep.
what is the breakdown if you eliminated the resurfacing of the other road other than that 400 feet?
I would have to go back and check. I apologize. I don't have I believe there's an estimate that was included with this that itemizes those items, but I don't have it in front of me, but I can get that information for you if you would like.
What do you think's driving that right-of-way cost? It doesn't seem like you're just really impacting that 400 feet as far as expanding the road, or?
So, yes, so there would be some pretty substantial, so not substantial, but there would be some right-of-way costs associated with, just to the north of that Summerline development, in between that and Discovery Ridge Elementary School, there's 2 properties that we would have to get a decent amount of right-of-way for to expand the road to 3 lanes. Also on the other side, you could potentially expand it in both directions, but then you're going to be getting into people's front yards and backyards. So we put that in. It may not be that bad, and there's also going to be a lot of easements to do the sidewalk work and everything else. So it's an estimate. It may not come to that, but during the Highway DD and Summers Road signalization intersection project, there was, how do I put this politely? There was a lot of disagreement about the right-of-way on that particular project, and it became somewhat, we had to go to condemnation, and it didn't go so well. So it's more of just want to make sure it's there just in case.
Is your Summerline development contributing any right-of-way or funding for this?
Yes, they would be. They would be doing improvements to their side of the roadway as well as I believe contributing some right-of-way. The fourth project is the Crestview Drive extension, and again, we're only seeking design and right-of-way at this point, not construction funds. And basically, Crestview Drive is an existing road between Woodlawn Avenue, and it kind of dead ends. This project would extend it out to a connection with Veterans Memorial Parkway. So it's this kind of weird old asphalt road that's in pretty dire straits. It kind of ends around off of Woodlawn, goes past a few businesses, and then goes up and services a few residential homes near Veterans Memorial. It does present some frontage opportunities along I-70, but essentially what we would do would be to reconstruct Crestview Drive and realign it. That will help to better accommodate the additional lanes on I-70 as part of those planned improvements. We would want to extend it from where it currently ends and connect it into Veterans Memorial Parkway with a roundabout to provide traffic an alternate way through the area. Instead of having to go down VMP and through several stoplights and then get on Decay, you could get on Woodlawn and then eventually directly access the outer road system along 70 as well. And then again, also install some pedestrian infrastructure to better serve the area. We have a Fort Zumwalt Park is right in the area. It would be nice for us to be able to connect a sidewalk because it does serve quite a few residents in the area as well. Here is here's a concept plan, so you can see kind of it kind of makes this real awkward more than 90-degree turn, kind of a hairpin turn there around the corner. Again, services a few commercial properties and then kind of turns another 90 and then dead ends in that current cul-de-sac. This would extend that to the west and then eventually make a connection with the Veterans Memorial via roundabout. We would also be installing sidewalks and everything else along with that. And then this would also then make a better, more direct connection with Woodlawn, which would then hopefully, again, help to better serve some of the improvements to I-70 that's going on in that same area. So this would be what we are proposing to do. Again, here's kind of the old TikTok shop. I believe it's been torn down for a little bit, but again, the road's not in great condition. It is not necessarily very well used at this point, but we feel with the realignment, it could become a viable alternative to help traffic move through the area and onto the I-70 system a little bit quicker than what they currently have to do. So for design and right-of-way, we currently estimate this to be about $620,000. And we are looking for an 80-20 split with the city and county again. Purely design and right-of-way at this point, no construction funds. And last but not least is the Sondren Road extension. So this would be extending Sondren Road where it currently terminates at Eggering Drive and making a connection onto Main Street at the 3rd Street, Main and 3rd Street intersection. So again, it currently ends at Eggering. There is a development that is planned in the area. It is the old Sisters property, and that is going to be coming in, again, a mixture of high-density, single-family residential, commercial, and a few other things kind of thrown in there. It's a very large development. And so with generating all of those planned developments, it's going to put a lot of traffic in the area. So we believe that this necessitates kind of a connection between Sondren and Main Street. We hope that it allows for greater connectivity. So we'd like to see Sondren become a better utilized street as kind of a sister to Main Street through the area. So what we would want to do is construct an extension to Sondren Road between Eggering Drive and the intersection of Main, install ADA sidewalks and paths. We have a 10-foot path on one side, a 6-foot path on the other, and then also improve some storm and sewer in the area. So again, this is a concept plan that what we have, so you can see, let's see, we do, yep, that was not good, okay. So Eggering, I'm sorry, where Sondren currently terminates is on the bottom right, and then the intersection with Main Street would be on the middle left, and you can see kind of what's going to happen. So we have some high-density apartment-style residential dwellings would be constructed kind of on that corner where it rounds, and then you'd have more residential development up on the top, as well as some new commercial frontage along Main Street. The existing Sisters property essentially stays in place. There are some modifications to it, but for the most part, it remains untouched in terms of still maintaining its senior care and everything else associated with that facility. So again, here's where it currently terminates. We would go directly north from this and then around the bend and then eventually make the connection out onto Main Street. We do have, again, as part of a development, we do have kind of a partner in this one with a developer. They will be putting up the funds for design and donating the right-of-way. What we are essentially asking with this is to split the construction costs, 55% county, 10% city, 35% developer. So, and you can see what the total percentages are if you factor in the design and the right-of-way that the developer is taking care of. So we estimate this to be about a $2.7 million project at this point in time. So here is a summary of the funding that we are looking for in terms of the county, the city, and the other agencies. Again, we have two, hopefully, federal partners on 2 projects and then a developer on the Sondren project, so contributing additional funds.
How far are they, is the developer pretty much set in stone now for that property to develop, or is this still concept phase?
As far as, and again, I'm not on the development side of things for the city, so I cannot speak to exactly how far the conversations are, but from what I gleaned, it's really far along to where it would be, I think, surprising if it fell through at this point. Is probably how I would answer that question, without being able to say for 100% certain, because I'm not a part of those conversations. In terms of priority, what the city would view as its priorities, number one would be the Highway K, Highway N intersection improvements. Again, it's the worst performing intersection in the city. It affects almost 60,000 vehicles a day. So that is a huge priority for the city, is to get that one performing better. Second would be Weldon Spring Road. Again, we've preliminarily been approved for CMAQ funds for that project as well. Third would be the Sondren Road extension. Fourth would be Crestview Drive design and right-of-way, and fifth would be the Summers Road widening. So, and with that, I will take any questions you have.
I do. On the K&N
Yes.
section, has page extension relieved any of that at all, being able to get on and off there?
When you say relieved, what can I?
Well, I used to work over at K&N. I had an office over there,
Mhm.
and it did back up quite a bit in the evening, especially. With the page extension, people taking page extension and not necessarily having to go down Highway N, has that relieved any of that
I
backup?
would say that it has. I do think that it is, I do think having the page extension there and again, the ability to access a major thoroughfare through the area does certainly help. One of the issues is that we're seeing more and more development along N between O'Fallon and Cottleville, and as that continues to grow and continues to develop, it's only going to be adding more traffic that a system really can't handle at this point, Highway N being the system, not necessarily a 364. The other big issue that we're seeing there that won't necessarily be corrected directly with this project, but we do hope to try to figure out some way around it, is that third lane heading north, the outside lane, what we would call a zipper lane. A lot of traffic isn't utilizing that. We do at some point are hoping to extend that all the way up to Fallon Parkway, but that's a different conversation. So the short answer is yes, I do think that 364 has attracted more traffic, but it has also allowed that traffic to hopefully access that system and get off of Highway K instead of having to continue all the way down to 40 and further congesting things. I do think it has been helpful. So yeah.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you.
City of St. Charles?
Right. Good afternoon. My name is Dan Mann with the City of St. Charles. I guess once this gets going, we'll jump in. All right. The City of St. Charles this year, we're applying for 4 different road projects. We recently received some great word that we were successful with federal funding on 2 of these 4 projects. So the Duchenne Drive Reconstruction, we received federal STP funds, and then the Maggie Road Pavement Rehabilitation Project, we also received federal funds. We'll get into that a little more on the specific project applications. But to kind of jump right in, the first project that we have this year is the Plaza Way Extension. So every year, the City of St. Charles, we have a roadshow meeting where we try to highlight road projects and get feedback from the general public on what the city wants to see, what residents want to see. You'd think you'd see questions about roundabouts or other transportation stuff. The most common question or comment that we get is, when is the City of St. Charles getting a ChickfilA? So we are happy to say that a ChickfilA is coming to the Red Roof Inn site. So if you've driven by the Red Roof Inn area, the Red Roof Inn is torn down at this point, and we are well underway towards laying out a site for a ChickfilA, Chipotle, and then one other retail tenant that's we're really excited about, but probably not quite ready to release that information at this point. This whole area is really going to, this development, I should say, is really going to transform this corner. So right now, Red Roof Inn has some traffic, I guess, but it's really, people that are going to Red Roof Inn, it's, one trip in the evening, trip out in the next morning. This development obviously generates a lot more traffic and really changes the way that the traveling public's going to access the site. So we anticipate, a huge amount of the residents that go to shop at Walmart or Schnucks or Sam's Club are going to be traveling over to the Chick-fil-A and really just the general public to the east. And that's going to cause a lot more congestion to the Veterans Memorial, Parkway, signal up by Zumbel and I-70. So with all that in mind, we've worked with the developer to come up with an alternative to connect the Plaza Way road across Coal Creek over to the Zumbel Road signal to provide kind of a relief route cut through to keep from congesting that intersection and that interchange further. So here's the layout that we've come up with. The right side of your screen is to the east, and that's connecting over to Plaza Way. That's I don't know if I have this building right here is like Subway. If you've seen the Popeyes, it's kind of in this area. And really this connection gets folks over the creek and gets them all the way back over to Zumbel. This is, we think, really important for the development, both from a transportation, driving public aspect, but it also provides some good pedestrian connectivity with sidewalks over the creek here. Part of this project that we also looked at was the realignment of this intersection up closer to Zumbel to try to provide a kind of fluent cut through without a bunch of stops and right hand turns to try to get people through the site efficiently. That's something that we're going to evaluate during design to see what that looks like exactly, but we think that's an important component of this project. I guess as part of this, there's the developer is constructing a large part of this roadway. So you'll see in the funding application that there's not necessarily a line item broken out for the developer as a formal cost share, but basically everything that's not hatched in this drawing here, so this middle section is being provided by the developer. The city and county portions of this project are really just this highlighted piece, and the majority of the cost for the project is in that box culvert to get the road over Coal Creek. Kind of outside of all the benefits this is going to provide right away, this project also provides really a lot of benefits if there's for the MoDOT project that's going to do work on the outer roads. So no matter what the outer road configuration looks like, we know that there's probably going to be changes in this location. And this right in, right out, it functions okay for their site, but having the additional access on the other side of the creek is really going to help them out long term. This whole site is a huge revenue generator. So the projections that we're seeing for the site is over $12 million. So over $8 million just for the Chick-fil-A itself, which generates a ton of sales tax revenue. So this is a very impactful project for the city and for the county as well. The funding, the total project cost is $3.3 million for the Plaza Way Extension. And like I mentioned, most of that cost is in that bridge to get across Coal Creek. It's a fairly significant structure. The funding we have broken out is 80-20 between the county and city.
Where's the right-of-way coming?
Yeah, let me go back. So, and I may kind of go on this slide. So if the right-of-way within the development, within the Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, and third lot, that right-of-way we're anticipating will be donated. That's not something that we budgeted for and wouldn't anticipate having to acquire. The two places we think there may be cost is, I guess really the one place primarily is over on this side of Plaza Way. So there's currently a 40-foot wide ingress-egress easement from Regency all the way at basically the back of that commercial lot. That ingress-egress easement is not currently dedicated to the city. It's a private ingress-egress between like Popeyes, the Subway. I think there's a mattress store back there, a few other retail outlets, and we would be acquiring rights to convert that property to a public right-of-way all the way out to Regency. To be quite honest with you, we're hoping to that conservative is fairly, or that estimate is fairly conservative for right-of-way. We would hope that the right-of-way isn't really going to cost that much, but we do know that there's some other factors that at play there to make sure that we can really provide that public connectivity all the way through.
I think it'll benefit them.
Absolutely,
I mean, but
totally agreed, yes.
Again, it seems like when you improve people and you gotta pay for it, it bristles me a little bit, and it's not, I get the culvert, but it's expensive, and you're giving away 10 years' worth of sales tax to get this, but again, if you don't do something like that for ChickfilA, you're gonna have a mess anyway. Sooner or later, I mean, they get them through, but it's a beehive.
Yep, understood, yeah. Yeah, I think, to your point, I mean, we're definitely anticipating that, or I guess hoping the right-of-way is going to be significantly less than what we budgeted, but, we want to make sure that we have the funds available to, to get the project over the line.
Are you looking at 3-year funding out for this?
No, so the development is moving forward this year. So,
figured that.
yeah, so we're planning to work with, we actually have several folks from the development team here. Premier is doing the engineering for the site, and they're actively designing the site as we speak. So our plan is to try to start design immediately, as soon as we receive positive word on funding, start design immediately for the roadway improvements, and then implement the actual construction improvements in 2022. Any more questions, I guess, before I go on that project? Okay. The second project that we have this afternoon is the Duchenne Drive reconstruction. So I don't know if anybody may know where Pavement is along Duchenne Drive here. But anyway, this is kind of the last leg of the gray triangle, so to speak. There's been a little bit more activity recently in this area, and we're really excited about that. City's done a lot of work on the other 2 legs of the triangle. So we've just completed reconstruction of West Clay. We've completed reconstruction of Drosty Road, and that's really given a facelift to the corridor. This is really the last piece, completing from West Clay Street all the way up to Drosty Road. Duchenne Drive reconstruction, it has several different components to it. Really, there's the corridor as a whole is set up a little bit odd. It's a major thoroughfare that people use as a cut through, but it was constructed with rolled curbs and kind of a character that doesn't really fit the classification of street that it is. So with the city project, we've identified that there's a lot of discontinuity for sidewalks. There is some pavement deficiencies, and then just the road section is probably not what we would like to see for that type of road. So our proposed improvements would install a continuous shared use path along one side of the road, a continuous 5-foot sidewalk on the other side of the road to really help activate the kind of pedestrian traffic through there. There's already really a lot of pedestrian traffic. A lot of that's generated by Lindenwood, and we're hoping that adding some of these additional facilities is going to help alleviate some of the traffic and also some of the parking concerns that we're starting to hear about as the area starts to reactivate. We're hoping we can drive more people to walk and bike to these facilities. It also, I guess the shared use path also completes the loop along with the road network. We have a shared use path on Drosty and on West Clay, and that kind of completes the circuit there. On top of that, we're also installing some LED stop signs at Raymond Drive, doing quite a bit of storm sewer work along the road to help with some drainage issues that we've seen and help with some of the safety issues there at Raymond. Here's a conceptual plan that shows the improvements. You can see here I guess what I'll call the east side. That's the location of the shared use path. There is some easements, some sidewalk easements that'll be required to fit the new section in. It's something that we're going to work with property owners, and thankfully the grades along here are really they're not particularly difficult. So we think that the easements are going to be fairly low impact to property owners along the corridor. But that's definitely something that we'll work through design and right away. As I mentioned, this was a project that we received federal STP funding for, so we're really excited about that. We received $3.4 million through the federal STP funding round. The total project is $4.2 million, and we would propose splitting the remaining 20%, 10%, 10% between city and county for a total ask of $420,000. The next project's Maggie Road Pavement Rehabilitation. I think Kirsten's going to talk through this one.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kirsten Lawrence. I'm with the City of St. Charles also. I'm going to go over these other two projects with you. This first one, Maggie Road Pavement Rehabilitation. It is located between Mexico Road and Old Maggie Road. Right now it's bound by several commercial developments, including Home Depot and Target, so a lot of traffic through here. Sorry. We did the pavement evaluation of the existing pavement and determined that there were several slabs. We estimate about 20% of the pavement that's in need of full depth replacement. It's beyond repair and needs some work. So we gave it an average rating of 4.7 out of 10. A lot of those defects coming from severe spalling of joints and cracks. We noted a couple areas where there were some broken curbs, a couple of broken sidewalks as well, causing safety issues. What we're proposing to do is go through and evaluate all the slabs that need replacement. Like I said, we estimate about 20% of the pavement overall. Go through, replace those, and replace the inlaid reflectors that go between the lanes now. Come through and diamond grind everything smooth, and then seal the cracks and joints. We'll also reconstruct. There's a sidewalk on the west side. It's about 4 foot wide now. We'll reconstruct it with a 5 foot wide sidewalk, and then build a 10-foot shared use path on the east side, which will be continuing from an existing shared use path that's already there for a portion of it, which I'll show you on the next slide. Here, you can see, if I can make this work, there's already a shared use path on this side that goes from Mexico down to about this rear Home Depot entrance, so we'll extend that shared use path down to the southern limits of the project. And again, as I mentioned, on the left, on the west side, 5 foot sidewalk. Those red squares are where we kind of, preliminary estimate of the areas that need to be replaced. We're also showing an under drain at the low spot. I can't see it, that's on here, but I think it's over here somewhere. To help correct some of the drainage issues that are causing some cracking of the slabs there. The financial breakdown, as Dan mentioned, we got word that we received the federal funds from the STP program in the total 80% of the project. So right now we're asking for cost share with the county for the additional 20%, split half, 10 each. The next project is Regency Parkway Reconstruction. This is located kind of over by the Plaza Way project Dan talked about. South of 70 between Zumbell and Veterans Memorial Parkway. You can see now it's a pretty wide section. It runs through this major commercial corridor. And right now they have 2 lanes, one in either direction, and with these intermittent turn lanes at some of the larger driveways. We evaluated the pavement. It was in pretty rough shape. There's a lot of potholes throughout. Had to do a lot of patching. The patching's failing. It's kind of, there's a lot of cracking everywhere. We noted a lot of areas where there were non-ADA compliant curb ramps as well, some broken concrete sidewalks. You can see there's some off-tracking happening there, causing some issues with the concrete. So what we propose to do is replace all of the pavement full depth and put in a 9-inch section for, make it a little heavy duty for all the truck traffic that comes through here. We're proposing to stay within the same right-of-way footprint, but kind of reconfigure the roadway section a little bit. Right now, as I mentioned, it's 2 lanes in either direction. They're pretty wide, about 18 feet wide. So we're proposing to narrow the lanes down to 11 foot, one in either direction, with a continuous two-way turn lane along the whole reach. We're also showing replacement of the sidewalks on either side. I think right now they're between 3 and 4 feet. We put 5-foot sidewalks on both sides, and we'll also add some crosswalk striping at some of the major entrances as well as the cross streets through there. Kind of just the same thing I just went over. You can see in the typical section here, we're staying in the same right-of-way footprint, but kind of modifying the roadway section a little bit. We all are aware of these MoDOT I-70 improvements. I think Dan kind of already mentioned this too with the Plaza Way Extension. When that one-way outer road thing happens on BMP, we expect that Regency Parkway will be a little bit more significant in this commercial area, getting people back to the Zumbell Road interchange. So right now, a lot of traffic, there's several entrances into this development from VMP that you can go, either way to get, you can make a left to go to Zumbell, but when that's not an option anymore, the next interchange to the east is over a mile away. So we anticipate that a lot more traffic will be traveling south to Zumbell to get back to I-70 or to the overpass. This is the financial breakdown. This one, we didn't have the opportunity to apply for federal funds. It's not currently classified such that it's eligible, so we are proposing an 80-20 split with the county to fund this one. And we are also in the process of having it reclassified through East-West Gateway as a minor collector, so it would be eligible for federal funds in the future. But with the I-70 improvements expected to start as soon as next year, we wanted to get this in now. And with that, if you have any questions, that's all I've got.
So Maggie Road, is there any way that can be tied in with the expansion that's happening? Like it's 2024 where Maggie's going 6 lanes from Page Avenue to 70?
I'm not familiar with that project. Do you guys know?
That was voted on last time. There was something where we approved some money for some type of.
The interchange.
The interchange, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah, 94 is going to 6 lanes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was going continuous all the way to 70.
94 will, but that's not Muni. Maybe.
That's
So
like
it's not
First
Muni
Capital.
going 6 lanes all the way to 70.
No, 94 will, between 364 and 70.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
City of St. Peters?
Good evening. Give this a second to boot up here.
Amanda, while we wait, can I ask you a question? You guys were,
Can I ask?
you guys got federal funds for Parkwood Trails, but didn't apply through what, was that just, you guys are good to go on that one?
So,
With the federal funds?
the construction will be in 2025 for Barkwood Trails, so we'll probably apply next year.
Okay, gotcha.
So, 5,
Okay.
we applied for 7, we were recommended for 5,
Okay,
and we'll come back probably next year for the
awesome.
ones that
Okay, I just wanted to
we're
check
not
on
talking
that.
about today.
Okay.
All right,
Sorry.
so be ready for next year, guys. Are you ready? Okay. All right,
Spoiler alert.
So, I'm Amanda Rich. I'm the Director of Transportation for the City of St. Peters. I'm here tonight to present these project applications. Lucky you, we've only got 2 this year, so I won't talk your ear off this time. Project number 1 is the 370 Salt River Road Phase 2. So you all have generously helped us fund Phase 1, which is the eastbound Salt River Road to southbound, or really westbound 370. It's a lot shorter ramp. Now we're moving on to Phase 2. So this project obviously is located right between I-70 and Truman. We've got quite a bit of commercial development in the area. This is the most up-to-date picture I could find, but it's still not quite up-to-date. We've got Medline going in here, kind of filling in all the empty spaces that we have in the 370 Business Park. We've got an interested party working on these last 2 parcels here. We've got an Amazon distribution facility, also known as Project Smile, super secretive, going on. I spilled the beans, guys, sorry. Going in right here. We've also got a developer working on putting together a plan for almost the rest of this area here north of 370. So everything's really filling in. We're going to have a lot more traffic in this area, a lot of truck traffic that we would like to try to get away from the Cave Springs interchange and the Mid Rivers interchange, and quite frankly, stop them from using these little road here, Executive, down to the outer road. It's not really designed for the trucks, and they're off tracking and tearing up the sides of the road. So what we are looking to do is construct basically a flyover ramp from eastbound 370 to westbound Salt River Road, which will greatly improve the access on the west end of this business park, as well as up to the new Amazon development to the north there. With this project, it would require construction of a parallel bridge here over Premier Parkway, and 2 bridges over 370 and 1 over the Salt River Road current ramps. To access to go from 370 eastbound to Salt River westbound, you would have to go down through the Spencer signal and then back up. So unfortunately, there's not enough room in there to allow the necessary weaving distance, so that we had to make them, go back down through that intersection and then back up again. And it'll be the same way for ramp 1 to come in the other direction, down through and then back up again. So nothing really surprising there. Really, the overall idea of this is to improve utilization of the 370-70 interchange. Currently, very, very few vehicles are traveling from 370 westbound to 70 eastbound. They're not really using that ramp, and then vice versa, 70 westbound to 370 eastbound. So we think we could get a lot more use out of those ramps now with this new project. Also, we want to reduce the overall congestion at both Mid Rivers and Cave Springs and I-70, as well as improve access to our business park, which in turn is a good revenue generator for the county and the city. So, and obviously promote additional economic development, although we're kind of running out of space there, so we can only promote so much. So, we were able to secure some MoDOT cost share funding, which you'll see is the other funding here, about $7.5 million. We've gone after federal funding, and we preliminarily were approved for about $2 million federal funding this round, and we're asking the county for about $3.4 million, and the city would provide the remaining about $900,000 for this piece. The second project that we applied for this round was the Mid Rivers Mall Drive at St. Peter's Hall Road lane improvements. This intersection is located along Mid Rivers Mall Drive between I-70 and 364. With every phase of 364 that was completed, more and more traffic has been brought to Mid Rivers Mall Drive. The intersection is just extremely busy. We've got nowhere to move signal timing to help out the side streets. So you can see here the westbound approach has a shared through right turn lane. That's a major issue. If someone is trying to go to Walmart and they're sitting here in this lane, then no one can make the right turn. Causes a lot of queuing there, often back off the page here. It's a major issue. Also, with Mid Rivers Mall Drive being so busy, you can't, if someone's going through, you can't make a right turn to get onto St. Peter's Hall. So with this project, we're proposing to add some additional lanes. So we'd like to provide a dedicated left turn lane, a dedicated through lane, and a dedicated right turn lane to help folks be able to get going when there's somebody waiting to go through to Walmart, as well as to make the right turn when someone's waiting to go through on Mid Rivers Mall Drive. And by providing these extra lanes, we'll be able to reallocate some time and give some more time back to Mid Rivers Mall Drive and help increase traffic flow on Mid Rivers. So Like I said, we hope to increase the capacity of the intersection, reduce some queuing on both northbound and westbound, as well as reduce the delay for both of those movements and just overall signal operation. So, originally we had applied for an 80-20 split. We were recommended for federal funding for this project, so we're going to reduce that ask to 80% federal funding and 20% of the remaining from the road board and 4% city funding. So, and our funding priorities would obviously be 370 Salt River, number 1, and then St. Peter's Hall Mid Rivers, number 2. So, any questions? No?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. City of Wentzville?
Good evening. My name is Susan Spiegel. I'm the Director of Public Works for the City of Wentzville. It's been a while since I've been here, so it's good to see you all again. This evening we have 2 projects that I want to present to you for Wentzville: Mexico Road improvements and Route Z widening and signalization. The Route Z widening is actually our first priority, but Mexico Road is the first one that I'll be presenting to you. So this particular piece of Mexico Road is from Josephville Road to Midland Park Drive. It's about 2 miles in length. There is actually a portion of it along the western boundary which is still in St. Charles County, unincorporated St. Charles County. It's not part of the city of Wentzville yet. This segment of the road, however, ties into, Josephville ties into Highway A. And I think you can see from that picture that this piece of road actually works kind of regionally as a reliever for I-70. When there is congestion on I-70, there are times when travel will occur along Mexico Road for the purpose of bypassing congestion. The existing conditions out on this segment of Mexico Road are 2 lanes, 11-foot wide, no shoulders. The drop-off is somewhat abrupt in some locations, and there are grassy swales immediately adjacent to the pavement edge. We have had some complaints from the residents that live out there about the types of accidents that are occurring, which include coming off the roadway, and those are the types of accidents that the residents are most concerned about. There's also some intersection sight distance issues at Westwind Park Drive. I can show that to you a little bit further into the presentation. The scope of the project that we're presenting tonight would be an asphalt overlay with some full-depth pavement repairs, adding 3-foot shoulders to both sides of the roadway, realigning Mexico Road at the Hancock Road intersection, and giving some consideration to rumble strips, some pedestrian facilities like either a pedestrian signal, and I'll show you that location, and or some roadway signage upgrades. So that's a picture there of the typical pavement cross-section that we're proposing. And these are the layouts. This is where it starts on the west end at Josephville Road, and this is the portion that's in unincorporated St. Charles County. This is that road alignment it comes in at an angle, and we're proposing just some roadway signage to identify the curve and get traffic to slow down through there. The speed of traffic is pretty significant on this road. It's regularly above the posted speed limit. So, as you continue to move east, you'll see this is the segment where it belongs to the city of Wentzville, and there is a fair amount of residential development. There's also a school. This is an elementary school that you can see there on the south side of the road that generates a fair amount of traffic during school. And this is the intersection where we've had a fair amount of concerns from residents, actually on both sides of the street, about sight distance. So they're looking for, they're also wanting pedestrian access across the street. So that's the particular location where we're looking at sight distance improvements, a pedestrian crossing, perhaps in the future, or possibly as part of this project, depending on the costs, a signalization to solve the sight distance issues at that particular location. And then the project comes down to Midland Business Park and ends just east of Guthrie Road. So the financial plan, we have applied for federal STP dollars. 1.8 million will take care of 36% of the project. The remainder that we're proposing is 51% from St. Charles County and 12.8% from the city of Wentzville. The total project cost is currently estimated at $5 million. Were there any questions on that before I move to the next project? Okay, so our second project is Route Z widening and signalization. You may recall that we've been before the board talking to you previously about intersection improvements at Route Z and Interstate Drive. This particular project location starts at Interstate Drive and continues south to Perry Kate Boulevard. It doesn't go all the way down to N, but it's on the way to N. It's a primary arterial that will continue to serve regionally travel from Highway N north and south to I-70. What we're experiencing and we've been experiencing for some time, is a fair amount of queuing, particularly during the AM and PM peaks. Pruk Hills Parkway and Pruk Ridge Boulevard is a pair of subdivisions that are operating at a level of service F, along with Carlton Glen Parkway, which also operates at a level of service F. And the queues in the traffic, we are regularly getting phone calls from residents about the delay that they're facing on a daily basis. We've worked with MoDOT as much as we can to maximize and optimize the signal operation there at Interstate and Z, but there's just really no other way to solve the congestion except for to add lanes. So that is what we're proposing, is to widen Route Z from a 2-lane to a 4-lane roadway with turn lanes at those key intersections. So in working with MoDOT, we have been able to acquire agreement for a combination of cost share dollars as well as MoDOT maintenance dollars for the bridge that would be involved in being widened. MoDOT is recommending full replacement of this pavement because of its condition, and as well full replacement of the bridge superstructure. The project also includes a traffic signal there at Pruk Hills Parkway and Pruk Ridge Boulevard, and it will include a multi-use trail from Interstate Drive also up to Pruk Hills Parkway. Sorry about that, I should have had that slide up for you. So kind of a summary, we feel like it's going to reduce overall delay at the intersection by up to 30 seconds compared to not building, takes the intersection operation to level of service C, results in much greater average speeds compared to the no build, particularly PM peak condition. And this is a picture of what it will look like as we start at the north end and move south. You can see there that we have a bicycle trail along the south side of Interstate Drive that connects all the way down to Quail Ridge Park, which is a county park. And that bike trail continues to the west all the way down, currently all the way down to Hepperman Road, and is planned to continue all the way down to Pruk Valley Park, which is a city park on the west end of the community. So getting some bike trail connectivity down Z to those first two subdivisions is something that we want to try to do with this particular project. So you can see that there in white on those drawings. And then as we continue further south along Highway Z, that's the intersection there at Carlton Glen on the right, which is a fairly large subdivision. I would say Carlton Glen and the development of subdivisions on the east side of the road is approximately 200 homes. There's also a church out there, a VFW. And then as you continue down the road, here at Perry Kate Boulevard, in the not too distant past, they've built a brand new public elementary school, as well as a private elementary school. It's called the Morgan School, and a senior living facility. So there's a tremendous amount of traffic that has been introduced onto this roadway. There's absolutely still room for additional development, particularly down at the intersection of Z and Interstate Drive. There's a lot of undeveloped land that continues to be of interest to developers, and we think will, to some degree, generate sales tax revenue. There's a strong interest by a car wash, another gas station, those types of things. So we do see it as a good regional project because of the fact that it ultimately connects to Route N and will move a lot of traffic regionally as well. I am looking for the financial plan. Here we go. So the plan that we're proposing, as you can see, it does have some MoDOT cost share in there in the amount of $4 million, MoDOT maintenance funds in the amount of $1.7 million, and then the remaining amount of $4.8 million is split equally between St. Charles County and the city of Wentzville, each agency participating 22.8%. Total project is estimated at $10.5 million. And I'll take any questions if you have any.
The section of Z's don't belong to the state? It's not,
I'm sorry?
I thought Z was part of the state.
Highway Z is a MoDOT road. That is one of the reasons why it was eligible for MoDOT cost share dollars.
Okay.
MoDOT, under its current, or at least its most recent tax condition, they did recently get a fuel tax increase, but they were not willing to fund or able to fund any capacity improvements, which is what this is
So if
considered.
Wentzville, we do this with Wentzville take over the maintenance of that section of the road, or those?
That's actually a very good question. I'm kind of glad that you asked that one. There was a time when MoDOT was asking us to take over Route Z, but because of the fact that it is a lettered route, we're much more comfortable taking over their outer roads, which is something that I think has been established as a policy for several communities. When you step into the cost share realm with MoDOT, they're always wanting to find a piece of road for you to take over for them. In this particular case, the $4 million and the $1.7 million is resulting in 8 miles of outer road on the outer west end of Wentzville on both sides of I-70 being transferred from MoDOT to the city. Parts of that road are still in the county, so there will be 8 miles of roadway there compared to we're adding 2.4 lane miles on Z, and we'll be picking up 8 miles of roadway that'll have to be maintained. We'll be back looking for additional county funds and have to spend additional city dollars in the future maintaining those roads. But that's how it is with MoDOT cost share money right now. It's not free.
Yeah. What about like snow plowing and all that?
That too, the city and,
So there'd be
probably
city-
the county, I'll probably have to, talk with the county about some arrangement whereby maybe they plow one side and we plow the other side, since it's kind of a blend of city and county.
I mean, I live out that way. I mean, the
Yeah.
county, or the state's not really good about snow plowing out there.
No, they're not. They're not.
So
So it's not a high bar that we would have to meet,
Yeah.
but, but it is a bar, so.
Focus on the interstate.
Put the blade down.
So,
So
that's correct.
it would, Wentzville would be in charge of this section?
Unfortunately, that is the way the cost share is being written.
Okay.
But we would be more than likely seeking some assistance from the county particularly for snow plowing. And then, you know, when it came to an overlay or that sort of thing, which isn't immediately down the road, but the next time it needs to be overlaid, I would imagine that we'd be seeking, you know, support from the road board to assist us with that type of thing.
Okay.
There's not shoulders on it, you know, but it seems to serve the purpose as an alternate, you know, connector for that end of the community. I guess there's always the option of just closing that road as well, but I don't think that's really viable.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda, do you have anything?
So I will just say you heard a lot of, we were recommended for SCP funds, we were recommended for CMAQ funds. So I will give the rundown. The recommendations came back. They initially had 55 million in SCP to give out, and they ended up giving out 76 million, or just under 77 million. They got more from the federal dollars that are going around here. So we did get 13 SDP projects in St. Charles County of 50 in the Missouri region, totaling $19,500,000. And then for CMAQ, we got 19 of 65 projects. Oh, no, sorry, 6 of 15. So totaling around 5.5 million of 23.6 million. So we got a total of around 25% of the total pot of money for STP and CMAQ. So really good. We have, most of the applications that came through and said federal dollars were recommended. There's a couple that were not, but we'll talk about that next month. And as far as the gas tax, I don't know too much. I don't know that, MoDOT's direction is going to change at all. So this road swap and having to do extra stuff on our end is kind of just the way it is if we want to be able to move about the portions of the county that are starting to experience a lot of growth. So our population is up in comparison to the rest of the region, and I think, I don't remember, I just saw those numbers from the census. The state was maybe up slightly, but we're up a lot, so we're definitely the ones, kind of trying to keep up.
But once we start doing those things, they're never gonna go back to the old way again. Honestly. Again, you're gonna make that value judgment. Do we take it and take something else on, or do we not go after
The
those
swap
funds?
thing has been a tough pill to swallow. We are kind of, I think that's a statewide policy. We are kind of trying to confirm that. And, we'll do that. And if that's something we can kind of work out in the future, that's maybe the way, something that we would like to see them, if they have a little more money, maybe they can maintain a little bit more roadway. We understand that it's hard to keep up, but we're a growing community, and there's got to be some growth on the roads to handle it. So, that's all I have.
Okay. So, looks like our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be a work session, will be June 16th. And we'll have that down in 116, is that?
Yes,
Okay.
that's confirmed. Yep.
Yes, sir?
I got a question for Amanda. St. Charles County, Steve Ellen put out, or I guess the county put out this impact. In particular, the discussion on the Winsville bottleneck.
Yes.
Do we have funding now for that?
Yes. Well, we are in the draft STIP. So MoDOT has submitted their draft 5-year plan. The project is in it. I think it's funded in FY24. Andy's on the call, or was, if he wants to pipe in and say. So yes, it is.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, so, exactly right. So it is back on the draft STIP. It was on the adopted any new projects last year, so it is back on. I'm really excited and very hopeful. I know it'll be a lot of positive public comments, so yes, that is what's slated for is year 2024. So we, regardless of if it gets funded, they get well. I'm not going to promise, I can't promise it, but we're going to promise to move forward with the final design regardless, because it's it's a year and a half, so tedious design work. So.
Okay?
So when you say funded for
Well, I
physical.
can tell in July, probably will know in July for sure.
If it, okay.
July, whether they adopt it or not.
When you say funded for fiscal year 24, does that mean construction in physical?
Yes,
24?
yes.
Yeah.
Fiscal.
Does that, did we not give state $1 million or something for help with redesigning the ramps of 64 and 70?
Yeah, in that project,
61 and 70.
60.
So I heard you. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yes, 64, 61, and 70.
Yeah.
Yes, we gave them $1 million that has been transferred to them, and actually, I just got notice today that that project has been given notice to proceed. So they're working on a concept study.
Okay, so that's just design is all it is?
Yeah,
There's
AECom.
No physical construction dollars?
No. So AECom is working on, with a team, a concept. They'll do public engagement. They'll do, a whole plethora of things to kind of get that project rolling and figure out what's needed.
Because that really has to tie in with this project.
Yes. So, this project is kind of set in stone. We pretty much know what needs to be done under the railroad, and they'll make it, I think, 4 lanes, or it'll accommodate as many lanes as are in the FEIS that was MoDOT approved several years ago for I-70.
Going over the top.
Well, what we've got in there is, what we've got in there in this scope is 3, so instead of 2 lanes in each direction, there'll be 3 lanes in each direction plus an auxiliary lane. So in a short section there between Highway Z and Wentzville Parkway would actually be 4 lanes in each direction. So, and then the bridge with the railroad, we're just kind of bite the bullet and build a super long bridge. Because I don't want, I know I believe, but I don't want any other future MoDOT people to have to come back to the railroad and deal with them for another 150 years. Flying cars and everything.
Exactly.
But, so we had to start somewhere, and that was where we had to start, was we needed something buildable, so we started with the curve, and then, like Amanda said, we still don't have improvements funded for the big interchange, but, again, you guys are gracious enough to fund that study, so we can at least have some concepts by end of the year or early next year, hopefully, and hopefully some projects will come out. I just want to make sure it's more future-proof, so as you, like Amanda said, you guys are, this guy is very hard to keep up with, the assistance.
I will say that so with the half cents, or with the gas tax, it's not half cent, it's 2.5 cents per year. There was a list of priorities for MoDOT, and that is the top priority in St. Charles County. So if, when more projects come out of that gas tax passing, that is under my understanding, that is the top priority. So hopefully we'll get something going there in the near future, and we'll have a nice improved bottleneck. And I will also say, there's a public comment period for the STIP. Please, I encourage you all to go out and, support the Wentzville Curve project, and tell all your friends. The more comments they get, the better it is, so.
So we're building a new railroad bridge now over an extended
That's-
Highway 70, not the other way around.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It was way more cost effective, so.
You sure about that?
And we're sure about that. Stop, Andy, stop.
Anything else this evening? Before we adjourn, I'd just like to thank everybody for the attendance. It's so much better to hear these things firsthand, and I think it'll certainly help us in the work sessions and that type of thing, so I really appreciate it. I think it's gonna make it for a smoother, reading it all is one thing, but hearing and being able to ask questions on the plan is good, and our attendance has been awesome, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Again, thank you very much.
Thank you.